What is going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 85 of the Yamcast. Welcome. It's going to be a good one. We're very excited to have you. Really quick, if you're loving the Yamcast, if you're new here, if you've loved the Yamcast for a long time, if you haven't subscribed, you're not notified on the channel, you should do all those things really quick. Do me a favor. We're going to be strapped in here for a long time, at least an hour and change. So go ahead, settle in, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button. And then if you want to join up on the Yamcast, actually watch these live a week before they go out, check on the Discord and everything else, join over on yaminoob.co. It's the best way to support what we do. It's a great thing to do, and it's a lot of fun. All right, so today we're talking about Suzuki going electric. They've got a new electric motorcycle they're going to be piloting out. Maybe not so much a motorcycle, and the big question is, electric Hayabusa when? Hybrid Hayabusa, electric Hayabusa, something like that. Do you think that'll ever happen?
No.
Of course not. And then we also have another piece of news that says, wait a minute, electric bikes and EVs might actually not be so great. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Lots to say. And then we also have some news from the GP side of things. Riders moving around. It's officially silly season. The summer break is upon us. And a lot's been going on of rider market stuff. People moving around, shuffling around everywhere. Going to chat about that. And then we have on the Discord DM session, we're talking about motorcycle stereotypes that are not true. We're asking our Discord boys to send us in messages about motorcycle stereotypes that they believe are not exactly true or unfalsified claims against them. Then we have YouTube reacting to my short-lived mustache.
Yep.
That caused a lot of consternation on YouTube. I did it just for a lark between my fiance and some friends of ours. They were like, let's see you grow a mustache. She was like, let's see it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, fuck it. I'll grow the mustache. Let's see what happens. And then everybody on YouTube, because this is what they think, they're like, he's growing it for us. He's sending us a message. They're screen capping the mustache, looking in the fragments and the artifacts of the image, trying to piece together some ARG that I've put together with the mustache. But I just did it for fun, guys. But a lot of people had a lot of things to say about the mustache. We're going to look at the comments. So stick around. It's going to be a good one. Alrighty, Spite, lead us off. Let's talk about Suzuki going electric.
Yes. So our first piece of news today is going to come in the form of this electric Suzuki Bergman, which is a power move.
Absolutely. Absolutely a power move.
I kind of already thought this was a thing.
To
be honest.
Yeah, I'm like, that just now we're talking about this? Like, why isn't the Bergman electric?
I guess that just goes to show how much of a Suzuki does not give, that only now are they thinking about making a Suzuki Bergman that's electric.
So I don't know what engine is in the Suzuki Bergman 650, but it would not surprise me if you cracked it open and it's the frickin' DR650 engine just sitting right there. The S40 engine, tried and true. They're like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, brother.
I gotta imagine it's just some little baby parallel twin.
It's
or
some
something
parallel
like that.
twin, yeah, it has to be.
Just some apocalyptically stupid engine. But
Yeah.
the 650, apparently it conquered River Road.
Yeah,
You know?
yes it did.
So all-terrain vehicle right there.
Absolutely.
This is the first rumbling that we've seen out of Suzuki for anything electric.
Yes.
At least in the two-wheeled space. I don't keep up with their little Indian cars. I don't keep up with their their outboard motors or anything like that.
Yep.
But this is the first electric vehicle that they're making in our world.
Yeah.
And, of course, it was going to be a scooter.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. No, it makes total sense.
I think electric scooters make a lot more sense than y'all will see later this week when this video goes live on YouTube. We got an electric bike video going live on Friday.
Yeah, it's going to ruffle some feathers.
It makes a lot more sense than that bike. I'll tell you that.
Yes, it does. It's the perfect little city commuter.
Absolutely.
Honestly. And, all of this stuff about hybrid electric motorcycles, hydrogen fuel cells, blah, blah, blah. Nah, just a little quick recharge, little scooter that you can park in your, front closet. That's fine.
Yeah, it's basic human mobility. That's what the electric scooters are going to be for. And and it's interesting because we're seeing a lot of these kind of like, I don't even know how to phrase it, but sort of like hybrid bicycle, scooter, electric things coming into the market. Here in Austin, we have the Lime scooters, the actual like ones where you stand up on it and they knock out people's front teeth every Saturday on 6th Street,
Yeah, I think those things are a plague on humanity.
Yeah, people get blitzed on those scooters and then, very bad. We also have the tiny little like like mini bicycle two-wheeled things. I don't know what those are. We have the electric rentable scooters here in Austin as well.
Yes.
And then now, the Suzuki, like you can go and buy yourself an electric scooter. So I honestly think this low price market for electric vehicles is really kind of coming to the fold.
Here's a question for you, though. Do you think that there's value in because this is a full-size Bergman right here.
Yep.
And the Bergman's not a small thing.
It's kind of big.
It's a full-size scooter, full-size step-through scooter.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that there's more value in one of those than in a little pedal bike that has an electric motor that can go up to 35 miles an hour?
It depends on the use case. I think that if you've got this works for me as an honest-to-God everyday commuter because it's got storage, it's got a little more range probably. Those pedal bikes don't have much range. And sure, when the range runs out, you can pedal them, but they're heavy as
Yeah, they're real heavy.
They're pretty heavy. And here in Austin, it is very hilly, and even on a regular road bike, some of those 18% gradients you hit up on a regular road bike, you're like, damn, this is steep. And that's on a lightweight carbon bike. If you're on some heavy-ass electric bike, you're going to get off and just walk the thing.
Yep.
So, yeah, it depends on your use case. What do you think?
I think that the way that we're looking at, like, downtown Austin, less so.
Yeah.
But when you start seeing people out by, like, South Austin, East Austin, the edges coming into the city, sure. Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Because of that extra range, a little bit more of the extra comfort. It is a full-size vehicle.
Yeah.
As opposed to a bicycle.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's got a little more road presence to it, but at the same time, the electric bikes can run bike lanes.
They can
right?
run bike lanes.
I don't think anyone would be happy to see a scooter in a bike lane. They'd be like, that's not a bike.
My Supermoto has been known to run bike lanes.
I've put the Husky in many a bike lane. But that's because we're asshole motorcyclists. Normal people would not dare to put a scooter in a bike lane. But again, if you have a electrically assisted pedal bicycle, you can kind of hop on the bike lanes, on the bike paths. No one's going to think twice, right? And that's really cool. And you can actually move through a city really fast if you have all of the terrain available to you. If you're sitting in traffic and you're like, I can just jump on the sidewalk, boom, jump on the sidewalk, bike lane, through trails, like that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of value to that. And that's a bit of a bummer here. And that's kind of why I think for the quick city commuter, somebody who lives, right on 4th and Comal or in Mueller or wherever, that you're going to want a pedal bike because then you can pull it into your apartment.
Yeah.
But if you have a house and you're on the edges, sure, this makes a little bit more sense because you can park it in the garage.
Yeah. I honestly still think the venerable gas-powered little two-stroke scooters are still a great option.
Yes.
Those are very fuel-efficient, very cheap, too. I mean, how much is an electric Bergman going to be?
It's probably going to be $5 or $6 grand.
Yeah, something like that, versus $2-3 grand for a used scooter, right?
Yep.
And I just felt it at the pump today. I only put a gallon of gas in the Turbo Hayabusa, but it was $5.95 for that there gallon of gas. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Putting
gas in any motorcycle right now is a little bit harrowing.
Yeah.
When you think about it, because it's just, you're like, it's a small tank, but it's still, we're used to those being $13, $12, $15, maybe $20 if I'm filling the entire KLR up. Now if I fill the whole KLR up, it's what my car used to cost.
Yeah. Yeah, my truck the other day was $185 to fill up.
Yeah. Ouch. And I was like, I should roll back from 93 to 89 in the Mazda because it was $70.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's made me think that I'd want something that I can just bop up around to the shop in and stuff because, I drive my truck basically every day, and it's very comfortable, but it's getting expensive.
Yeah.
Getting expensive.
Very expensive.
But it kind of begs the question, is electric really the future?
Yeah.
Is it really the right thing to go for? And that's what this article is talking about,
That's what this article is talking about. This is going to make a lot of the ICE people so happy. Because you're going to be like, this is the reason to keep the internal combustion engine around.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about this, so let's get into it.
So the nuts and bolts of this story are that when you actually look at the amount of time it takes for an ICE engine to become carbon neutral versus a any battery vehicle, any battery electric, it takes lots of really heavy-duty processes to make the battery electric vehicle. And because we've gotten so good at making ICE engines, you can just fart them out in no time.
Yeah.
And they're more efficient on the front end.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, of course, you're not putting any stuff out in the atmosphere,
Yeah.
but you're taking a lot of stuff out of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what we're looking at here. An electric bike's battery can account for up to 45% of its mass. And they're saying here that the Volvo, which is the XC40 rechargeable electric car,
which is a car, just so we say
full-size car, 16% of its mass is the battery, but accounts for 28% of its footprint. So 45% to 28%, much higher ratio on a motorcycle. So you are seeing a lot of problems in this space. Again, on the front end, they're a little bit nicer because they're not putting anything out.
Yeah.
And they give you that warm fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
But the numbers don't lie.
Yeah, and reading this here a little bit, if you scroll up just a skosh, it says the role of vehicles, fuels, and transport demand points out that while BEVs can have a smaller climate impact than ICEVs over their life cycle thanks to lower CO2 emissions, their impacts on other environmental factors, including resource depletion, acidification, human toxicity, or air pollution, can be higher. So it's kind of like what you were saying. You're kind of front-loading the environmental impact with the batteries versus the ICEs. The ICEs are obviously because you're requiring fossil fuels to run them, oil, gas, all that other stuff. Over the long term, it's going to be worse. But, here's where I kind of sit on this. If you look at electric cars, I personally think that while it is great that they don't produce emissions and it's going to get better air quality, all that good stuff, the amount of rare earth materials you need to create those gigantic batteries and the fact that one single person is still sitting in a 4-seater Tesla going to their office while that car weighs 4,000 pounds, creating a bunch of damage on all of our roads and everything else. I really think that if people just drove like little 2-stroke scooters and stuff, it would be better for the environment overall.
Yeah.
I do think that we're going down this weird path of like, we're trying to make all these electric cars, and it's like that's not really the right solution. We need more dense transit systems in general. Mm-hmm. And me personally, because I'm an advocate for 2 wheels, I'm like, what's more dense than everybody on little mopeds like in the third world, right? But then that's where it comes from, where Americans are so comfort-minded, and everyone wants to be such a little suburbanite, and they don't want to reduce anything of what they're doing. They will drive their Tahoes that weigh 5,000 pounds to go pick up their kids from soccer practice. They won't change their habits, and that bums me out. It bums me out that we're, what I mean, to be speaking perfectly frank here, what the fuck is the point of making a $25,000 electric motorcycle?
I have no idea.
What is the point of that?
I have no idea.
It's a toy for ultra rich luxury people. What's the point of that?
Because the people who would want something like that, the people who live on, they live downtown. They don't need a lot of range. Like the people who would buy the Bergman.
Yeah.
Make more Bergman style motorcycles.
That's
for
what
people.
we need.
I think Harley, if you're listening, take the Del Mar. Slash the price in half and make it just like some dinky little bike, like the Zero
SR.
I think it's the S,
whatever.
Like the lowest base model where you can get it into like $7,000.
Yeah,
and it's a full size motorcycle. Doesn't have dick all for range, but you don't need it.
Yeah.
Now this one's kind of cool here. So later on down, lifetime emissions of vehicles, including manufacturing emissions, found that it takes 45,000 kilometers for an electric car to break even in terms of greenhouse gas emissions when recharged on typical European electricity supplies.
And that's a big thing right there, because people in America are loving their electric vehicles. You see ads for them literally everywhere, but where's the electricity coming from? We're still very fossil fuel dependent for our energy creation.
Yeah, when you look Poland, where coal-fired stations are still the main source of electricity, electric cars didn't even break even at all before the 155,000 mile cutoff.
Yeah, and I mean, that's crazy, right? Like 155K miles on a vehicle is basically its useful life.
Yes.
For most people. Most people trade in between 3 to 5 years. And that's the even worse part, right? Where like we were talking about in the video that's going to come out on Friday about planned obsolescence and these sorts of things. When you have people wanting the newest and flashiest electric vehicle every 3 years, that's so much worse for the environment. When you keep making and buying giant batteries and giant heavy things all the time.
There is a caveat later on down in here that we are seeing right here. Battery recycling, a fast improving technology, means growing proportion of lithium, nickel, and cobalt can be recovered.
That's great.
So we will. Part of the problem with this is that it's so new.
Yeah.
Right? It's so new that we don't really know how to do it right. The leg up that the ICE has is that it's been around forever.
Yes.
And it got military backing in the early part of the 20th century. And it's been dominant forever.
Yeah.
As this becomes more necessary and it becomes more, and our knowledge base increases, we get more experienced with it, we will see it start to equalize, I think. We're going to get better at recovering parts. We're going to be better at maintaining the batteries, all of this stuff.
We're going to have to be.
Yes.
Because there's not enough lithium, nickel, and cobalt in the fucking world to do all this.
Nope.
Right? I just think that it's, again, the electric vehicle thing, I don't want to sound like an asshole motorcyclist, but my sentiment is kind of like, leave us alone. You know what I mean? Like, there are bigger fish to fry. Like, let's look at the passenger vehicle emissions. Let's look at corporate emissions. Like, motorcycle emissions is such a small part of it that it's a completely unrealistic expectations, but I'm kind of like, just leave us alone. Grandfather us in. Let me have my Turbo Hayabusa, right? As a joke. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do think that there are better places to look. Like, if we could figure out how to transition people who would otherwise drive a 4-passenger car by themselves into a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Sure. And then I do think we'd actually, because we were talking about this a little earlier, where I think Derek asked the question, will we see increased fatalities? Will it be more dangerous? And yes, there probably will be a rise in motorcycle related, but you will see that anytime a population grows.
Yeah.
I actually think for the average motorcyclist, the danger will go down because especially here in the States, people will get more used to motorcycles on the road.
Yeah.
You know,
it'd be interesting to see per capita what the fatalities look like for a country like Thailand versus America, right? Like, because they're so much more motorcycle dense. It's such a tricky kind of like chicken and egg thing where it's like, if you like, you have to think about what problem are you trying to solve, right? Like, are you trying to solve emissions? Are you trying to solve road and like road usage? Are you trying to solve for environmental impacts? Because honestly, for me, so many of these cities are just laid out incorrectly for what we're talking about. These cities are laid out in a way that elicits sprawl and elicits people to own these big vehicles to travel long distances, because if you plan them around a much smaller, tighter core with public transit and trains and those sorts of things like they do in Europe and have done because those cities were created, I don't know, hundreds of years ago versus like Austin didn't exist 150 years ago, right? Like basically. I mean, it's such a chicken and egg problem. And then how do you repurpose? Like, think about Houston. How do you repurpose a city like Houston to be more like people-centric transit?
Good fucking luck.
Yeah, it's impossible. It's basically destined to be a car-centric hellhole. So what do? You know?
Yeah, no, you can't really escape it in this situation. You just need to change mindset.
Yeah.
You know, you need to change thought before you can change like law, really.
And then the other part that's horrible about it is people can't even afford to live in the places that are more dense, right? Like those places we were talking about in Austin, East 6, South First, like downtown. Dude, those property values are millions of dollars now. Millions of dollars. Like, nobody can really afford to live there because also, talk about zoning laws, freaking single-family houses are everywhere, and you can't build anything else there.
Yep.
So, again, where do you begin to solve this, right?
There are so many problems that are just...
Yeah.
They're beyond the scope of this podcast.
And we're certainly not going to solve them. So let's move on to some GP news.
This is right in our wheelhouse here. So here we go with the GP talk.
So
Everybody's
exciting.
favorite segment.
So exciting.
Miguel Oliveira apparently set. I didn't know this. He was set for the Aprilia move.
Yes.
I was just expecting him to like go to Superbike at this point.
Wow, really? He's a 4-time MotoGP winner.
Yeah,
He
but
deserves to be there. Come on, why would he go to Superbike? He's not Iker Lecuona. He's not, some Tito Rabat.
no offense to him or anything like that, but he didn't seem like he was long for this world in GP to me.
He's an inconsistent fella. I'll
Yeah.
give you that. Up one week, down the other week. But he's a pretty talented guy. But Aprilia Satellite, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Because everyone was eyeballing him for a Gresini Ducati move. That was the big talk of the town. They were like, Oliveira's going Gresini Ducati, no doubt. I thought this was interesting. Factory Aprilia, or Satellite Aprilia.
I think right now with the season that Aprilia's had, with Aleix Espargaro winning as many races, everybody's like, get me on that motorcycle now.
Yes. It's the best bike on the grid, I think.
Yeah, I think everybody wants to be on the Aprilia.
Yeah.
Because, again, no shade to Aleix Espargaro, but he's not the best guy on the grid by far.
Mm-mm.
And I think if you put some like serious talent on there,
Yeah.
people are going to be like, whoa, this bike.
That's what I've been saying about Maverick. I know you don't like Maverick, but he's super fucking talented. He's going to come through. He's going to come through, dude.
We'll see.
I know Maverick's a giant piss baby and a weird guy, but he's going to come through. People always forget in 2016, he was like the next big thing. He's so talented. But that was 6 years ago, so I don't know,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I just see, like, it was nice to not see him being, like, super angry when he pitted in the last race. Because I was expecting him to be, like, kicking the bike and throwing it down and stuff.
He was like, I was in fourth. Yeah. He's like trying to fist bump the mechanics. Are like, the bike's not fucking working. He's like, oh, okay. I'll just go sit inside.
That was kind of surprising. I was fully expecting the tantrum. Because he's Mr. Tantrum.
Yes, he is.
So who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not giving him the credit he deserves. But the races I've seen, it's always like, oh, gee, Maverick, you are the guy who tried to blow up a Yamaha.
Yeah. He has a lot of bad stigma attached to him, but yeah, silly season in GP is fully in swing now. The summer break's about to be upon us. Fabio signed up for factory Yamaha. We know that. Franco seems very confident he'll have a factory. I don't know why, as if his contract can't be broken, but maybe he just has a master negotiator in his corner somehow, in the name of perhaps Valentino Rossi. I mean, he's on the VR46 squad. He kind of has that in his corner.
Mm-hmm.
Let's think. Jack Miller, KTM swap. That's interesting. Going to sell him some more dirt bikes probably. He has a Caterpillar sponsorship or a Cat sponsorship.
Yes, I did
so he's
see
just
that.
building his own dirt bike jumps. And with the KTM thing, it's just, the symbiosis is beautiful there.
I'm looking forward to seeing what Miller can do on the KTM. The thing is the KTM itself is a little bit like,
Yeah.
I
never really quite figured it out.
Yeah, it was getting good, and Oliveira was like, oh, man, the KTM is suddenly like, whoa.
And then it disappears.
Yeah. So it's very on or off.
Yep.
But I think that Miller he's the right fit for KTM.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a total spaz.
Yeah.
So
I think one of the Tech 3 boys are going to end up at Satellite Aprilia, either Remy or Raul.
At Satellite with Oliveira? You think?
I think so, because that team is designed to take, in theory, the Petronas squad, originally RNF, Razlan, Razali's, the whole thing was to take young talent, and I mean, that's where Fabio came from, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the whole thing. So I'd take a punt on one of those guys. They're massive. One's a Moto2 World Championship winner, and the other is a ridiculously talented rider. It was winning races by 8 seconds,
Yeah.
I'd take a punt. Why not?
Sure, I suppose.
What sucks is there's a bottleneck for all the Moto2 talent.
Yeah.
None of those guys have anywhere to go, basically.
Nope.
One of them will be like, I think Ayogura is going to take over Taka's spot.
Yes.
On the LCR squad. That's pretty much done and
I
dusted.
watched him crash this last week, and I was like, okay, yeah,
That's
his
gone.
career's over.
Taka's over.
He's over.
Taka's gone.
And then it's interesting to see that Rins is heading to LCR Honda.
Yeah. Alex Rins, LCR. I would have thought he would have wanted to be on something a little more prestigious.
Yeah.
No shade, but
yeah, no, I was thinking that because we're gonna see, man. I don't think Pecco's in danger, but
no, but
yikes.
But it's not looking good when you've crashed out of 40% of races.
So who takes Miller's spot at Ducati?
Zarco.
No,
it wouldn't be Zarco. I'm just kidding.
But they really like Zarco over at
Pramac. Yeah.
They love working with him.
Zarco is fantastic as this like kind of steady Ducati test guy.
Yeah.
That's what they love him. So it's going to be Martino Bastianini.
Mm-hmm. I think Bastianini. The season that he's had versus the season that Martin's had.
But Bastianini's also crashed like 3 times.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't need another guy on the box at Ducati crashing every other week too, you know? Like, they need to find a steady hand like a Fabio at Ducati.
Yeah. Do you think we might see Mir?
Well, yeah, I was like, what if Mir goes to Ducati? Like, there's nothing that says he won't.
There's nothing that says he won't, but I'd like to see him on
Factory
HRC.
Honda.
Yeah.
I think he gel better with that bike, but I don't know. I think Mir and Marquez would be a very interesting combo.
It would be very strange.
Yeah.
Because Mir is such a, like, he's at the racetrack to work.
Yeah.
And Marquez is like that as well, but he's also just more personable.
Yeah.
Like, he's got more character.
That's really saying something, but yeah.
You know? Because Mir is just a robot a little bit. He's a goddamn Terminator.
Yeah. It's interesting thinking back to all of Marquez's teammates. You had Pedrosa, Lorenzo. Who else was in there? Hold on a sec. Memory fading. Pol Espargaro, obviously. I think that's it. It was Pedrosa, Lorenzo. And then who was in 2020?
Alex.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's he finagled. He did so good in 2019. They were like, if you want your dad to be your teammate, go ahead. Go nuts, dude. Anyone you want can be your teammate. I forgot that Alex was factory Honda.
Yep. That's how great a season he had.
That's a bit silly. Yeah, and yeah, what's funny is since Alex Rins is going to LCR, that's Alex's seat gone. Alex Marquez's seat's gone, and then Taka is going out, so that team's restructured. But yeah, GPs. I mean, let's talk about the championship in the whole. Fabio's just going to run away with it.
He's gone. Yeah, you can't catch him.
No.
Which means it's a race for second. And it's a lot closer than I think Aleix would want.
Yeah.
Zarco's like right on his heels.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't expecting.
No.
But
Zarco's podium the last 2 races.
Mm-hmm.
He's always just so sad.
And then freaking Pecco, everybody was like, yeah, no, Pecco's right
Dude,
there. Pecco's he's going to hunt.
I called this since the beginning of the season. I said Ducati Factory on suicide watch. I was like, they're not going to piece it together. It's not going to happen. And they were like, oh, but he did so good last year. I was like, that doesn't mean
Nope.
That doesn't mean Look what happened to Frankie 2020 to 21. It doesn't mean
Nope.
And now you have Jack Miller, fewer points, on par, I think, with Pecco, and Zarco with more points.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
The fact that Pramac, on the whole, is just whooping up on Factory, that's not good. That's not good.
Not what you want to see. But yeah, GP is always interesting to watch, but it may get less interesting as Fabio just kind of walks away with all these races.
I think the back half of the season is going to kind of suck. I'm not going to lie.
It could be really interesting. I mean, back half of 21, Pecco was dominating, right? It could get interesting
It all depends on the first couple of races out of
Remember Aragon last year with Marquez and Pecco?
True.
That was really cool to watch.
But Marquez isn't there.
I know. Think about this too. Marquez was rolling around with an arm that was 30 degrees off where it needed to be, and he won 3 races and championed for first place on a 4th one.
Yep.
That's how good that guy is.
Yep. And if this surgery can fix him,
man,
he could. I don't want to say it because I don't want to jinx it, but he could be not maybe back, but he could be a threat again.
He doesn't need to be, because think about in 2019 when he was at the peak of his powers. He was so far beyond what anybody else was doing that it was like nobody can even touch this guy. Do you remember in Jerez 2020? He almost fell off, finished 16th. He clawed his way back to 3rd or 4th and then fell again, right? Mm-hmm. That's when he had the huge crash. That's how good he is and was.
And I mean, we watched it at COTA here in person. the bike did not launch.
Yeah.
And he was just like,
Screw it. I'll just go through everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
In like a lap, he had gained 10 places.
The guy's nuts. So I don't think Marquez needs to be 100% to fight for a championship.
No.
Which is fucking scary for everybody else, you know? It's like, yeah, this guy has had 4 arm surgeries, and he might still win another championship. It's nuts, dude. It's nuts.
Yeah, I'm really hopeful about this, but I also don't want to put all of my hopes on that, that Marquez train. But, hey, my backup, Zarco, he's doing good.
I like Fabio. I do. I think he's got a great style on the bike, and he rides so Lorenzo-like, so smooth, so beautiful, you know?
Yeah.
There was a clip of him the other day. It was actually at this last race at the Saxon Ring, braking into turn 1. He was braking so hard, he was smearing the front of the tire on its edge while the bike was just pitching sideways like this, just like... I was like, Jesus Christ. How do you even do that? That's crazy. He's got a lot of talent.
Yeah.
He's really good. But, folks, that's going to wrap up the GP talk. We're now going to move on to the next portion of our podcast, the DM portion. Stick around. Now, on today's episode of the Yamcast, we are going to be talking about motorcycle stereotypes.
Yes.
That you believe are not true. So, for the folks over on Discord watching it live right now, please send Spite a DM about the motorcycle stereotypes you think are untrue. You can DM him over on Discord, and we will read them to you here on the Yamcast. But we'll start out with ourselves really quick. Spite, what's a motorcycle stereotype you think is untrue?
So I actually have a couple, but the main one that I think of is that all clubs are like Harley people.
Yeah.
Like anybody who's clubbed out, they're either on like a Harley or they're in a group of people that are just on the same bike.
Yeah.
And I see that mostly around here with like everybody's referring to the Banditos, or Central Texas riders. They're all on Harleys, and they all, wear the rocker and stuff. But me personally, I actually am in a club, and it is a bunch of nerds who ride motorcycles.
My favorite story about your club is that one of your guys had to go and ask permission to wear the patches, right?
Yes. So we have our own patch, and it doesn't have the rocker. It doesn't have a territory. It's just a patch that has it's the Sons of Anarchy font that says Sons of Technology on the bottom, and it's got a skull that's wearing a Google Glass.
Yeah.
With a power button on its head, and I think it's really cool. Totally dorky, but that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
And we could not run that without getting permission from the Banditos, because they're the club that runs Texas.
Yeah.
And you don't incorporate without talking to them.
Yeah.
So
you said that clubs are a little different, or not all Harley guys and stuff, but that to me is a pretty typical stereotype of like, you got to go talk to the club head to make sure you can wear your patch and stuff like that.
Pretty much, yeah.
But I love the idea of like one of your guys like being this kind of nerdy software engineer guy going up and talking to some rugged bandito, being like, can we just wear a patch? And he's like, what the fuck are these guys doing? Do whatever you want, you friggin' nerd. Get out of here.
Yeah, no, it was as far as I know, that it was a couple of the guys that you would expect to see in a Texas, a little bit older, all a bunch of grouchy white dudes.
Yeah.
That just like riding motorcycles and worked in software sales, more or less.
Yeah.
And they went and chatted with the Banditos and made sure it was all clear.
Yeah.
Pretty sure there was whiskey and cigars brought by.
Sure.
As a peace offering, but
because what would happen if you did not get permission?
I don't want to put words in their mouth, but if you showed up to the wrong spot, they might beat the out of you at the very least. So, it could get bad.
Better to cover your bases then.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Yeah. So I think a little bit of truth and a little bit of non-truth in those stereotypes about clubs. What
perhaps
do you think?
overblown.
Maybe overblown. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have seen. I was driving back from San Diego and I saw so many Banditos. I don't know how big their club is, but
it's big.
Like I saw tons of people with Bandito stuff.
Bunch of them in Eureka Springs up in Arkansas.
Yeah. So I guess it's a big club. My stereotype that I would like to discuss that I believe is untrue is this idea that motorcyclists are all like really badass people.
Yeah.
So this is something that I see a lot of kind of in media, and I've definitely heard from other people like, oh, he rides a motorcycle like he's probably, you know, a bad boy or he's probably a bad guy. Dude, motorcyclists are the dorkiest people I've
all
ever met.
Nerds.
Most of them are complete nerds. Yeah.
In some form or fashion, they're all a nerd.
Yeah.
Even the like grizzly patched out dudes.
Yeah.
They probably got a waifu pillow at home.
Yeah.
Let's
absolutely.
be real.
Yeah. Most motorcyclists I've met are not, in fact, super badass. And instead, I have met, I will say, I've been to some questionable bike nights and have met some sport bike guys. And I'm like, you definitely do meth and like beat up your girlfriend and are currently drunk and are about to do 180 miles per hour on the highway.
Yep.
That's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I should be here anymore. But for the most part, most people that I meet are pretty dorky. But I think the sort of reputation that comes from is like, the guys who are like very unevolved motorcyclists, I think the type of dude who goes and gets a ZX10 as his first bike off Craigslist, like he could think of himself as badass, but really he's just like a double-digit IQ kind of guy, you know? Like
Yep.
He's not exactly badass, more so just kind of dumb. And that's maybe another stereotype that I've seen is motorcyclists are just kind of stupid people, you know? Like, no, like you ride a bike, you must be dumb because you're going to get hurt or whatever. But I've met a lot of very intelligent motorcyclists. It's just something fun that you get to do. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I think that the fact that I am in a club called the Sons of Technology goes to prove that.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody here is a nerd in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
You know, basically everybody I know who rides has some level of nerdiness. They also are at least cool enough to ride a motorcycle.
Yeah.
You know, that does earn you some cool points just right off the get, but
you can't exactly be a super soft boy and ride a motorcycle. You got to be a little tough, you know.
Yeah. But you're not exactly going to be the glass chewing, nail spitting hard ass.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what the boys over on the Discord have to say.
Starting us off, we got Full Metal Corgi.
Full Metal Corgi says, I know one stereotype that isn't true. Motorcycles aren't just for fat guys going through a midlife crisis. I'll have you know that I'm going through a quarter-life crisis, and the only cure is more Busa. That's a big one, too. Geez, if I had a nickel for every guy I saw that clearly looks like a midlife crisis Harley buyer, man, I'd be so rich. That's a big contingency. I don't know if that's as much of a stereotype so much as it is true, right? Like,
yeah. There's a huge chunk of that.
You see some guy who's like 42, never ridden before, and he's like, I'm going to get a Road Glide because I saw a commercial about the lifestyle of Harleys.
Mm-hmm.
My former boss at my startup that I used to work at many, many years ago, he was mid-40s, never rode before type of guy, knew that I rode, had questions about motorcycles, all that stuff, and he wanted to do the whole adventure bike thing. Again, never rode a motorcycle.
Wanted to start on a 1250.
Yeah, he was like, I want to get like a BMW 1250 GS. And I'm like, just because you have BMW 1250 GS money doesn't mean that you should get a BMW 1250 GS.
Yeah.
And he's like, but I'm like a big guy. I'm like, no, don't do it, you know? So a lot of midlife crisis guys.
Harleys and Beamers.
Yes.
Those are the ones. It's Harleys
Absolutely.
and Beamers.
Yeah. And then if they're real spicy, a KTM.
Yes. But you also do have to have a little bit of zest to live the KTM lifestyle.
You do. What do you think about the quarter life crisis?
I could see that with being like sport bikes generally, like the fast boy bikes.
Like you're 25, you don't have much in the way of hobbies or anything, and you're just like, I want to try something. You get a sport bike. I could see that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I never see really the people who get drawn to it who aren't at least some sort of motorcycle convert.
Yes.
Either nobody goes for like the naked bike first.
No.
It's always sport bike or cruiser.
Always, yeah.
And that's what drives the crotch rocket or Harley thing. But then you get into it, you get evolved, and then you're like, oh, naked bike.
The Onion put out a great article one time. His article, I said, it was like a headline. It was like, there are only two motorcycles. The green one that goes zing and the black one that goes bagaga, bagaga, bagaga.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, I was like, honestly, it's true. Just a reminder for all the Discord boys out there, we're doing the Discord DM comment reading. So if you have a motorcycle stereotype you want us to talk about, DM Spite that stereotype, and we will chat about it. Let's move on to the next one.
Next up is Vince82.
Vince82, wrong stereotypes that we are all mechanically inclined, always wrenching, etc. I wish, damn, I wish. That is true too. Like yep. I've seen that kind of imagery of some guy with the cool hair in his garage is oil drenched and wrenching on some cafe bike, you know?
Yep.
Most of the times it's some fat guy swearing at some piece of motorcycle in the garage. It's usually not some really cool guy doing that.
Yeah, I think the funny thing is how often our videos where we're wrenching on something, whoever's filming has to sit down.
Oh, dude.
And just listen to us bitch and moan about whatever we're doing. And
most of the time it's us going, why the they build it like this? I can't get this bowl out. What the I was swapping the battery out on my fiance's 2013 Jetta earlier this week because it died. And I already knew. I was like, something's going to be stupid about this car. So we get to the AutoZone to get a new battery, and the guy's asking me, he's like, oh, like what's the trim? I was like, oh, it's like some 2-liter something, 4-cylinder. He's like, oh, I'm only seeing 5 cylinders here. And I was like, no way that Jetta's a 5-cylinder. I was like, get the out of here. It's a 4-cylinder. He's like, I can't get you the battery that you want because it's a 5-cylinder. So I got to go back home, and I pop open the hood. Sure enough, that is a 5-cylinder. I was like, what the He's like, what VW? What are you doing? I pop it open. I go to look at where the battery is. The bolt, the nut to get all that's holding this battery in place is this tiny little clip in the corner between the engine and the battery. So I have to fish in a socket in this long extension and like crack it slowly and hope that it doesn't fall in there somewhere. Because if it falls in, you're never getting it out.
No, never.
You know?
It's gone.
So it's the same with working on bikes. There's always some random little tiny thing that goes wrong and some other thing. And again, you just end up being a fat guy sweating and swearing in your garage. Yeah.
And then if you're lucky, you get through enough tasks that you can do it again a little later on.
Yes.
You always fail your way to success.
And then it's like, because we work on so many different bikes, you end up doing the exact same thing on one bike. You're going to go to the other one, and you're like, oh, they chose to do it this way.
Yup.
Like, oh, Aprilia decided to be different and put the fucking rebound adjuster between the subframes. So you got to get a long screw to adjust it. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yup. Looks like Breadneck is writing, so let's go on to Twisted here.
Twisted here, it says that loud pipes save lives. If I hear another lame guy say this, my head will explode. It's simply not true. Man, we've made a whole video about this because it's the most stupid stereotype ever. Oh my God. Loud pipes save lives.
We always like to bring up the Doppler effect and how your pipes are going the wrong direction. They're like, but you can hear a bike coming towards you. And it's like, yeah, you can, but that's not where the bulk of your sound is going. You don't, like, imagine the super loud Harley, right? Yeah. You hear the super loud Harley. Yeah, it's loud when it's there, but it's ear-splitting when it's there.
Yes.
You know, and for it to be that loud, you have to be, if it's loud enough that somebody at the light can hear you coming, imagine how loud it has to be when you're sitting on it.
Yeah. Perfect example of this is the other day I was coming in on the Turbo Hayabusa, one of the loudest bikes we have in the shop, and I was coming towards the shop, and you said all you could hear was just turbo whistle.
I heard the turbo spool before I heard the
exhaust. Yeah. That tells you all you need to know.
Yep.
Because the turbo's in front of where the pipe is pointing. It's very simple physics. The sound is going the other direction. Honestly, a horn is going to be way more effective than a loud pipe.
Yes.
Just toot your horn all the time.
Yep, 100%. Next up, we've got Milliard.
Milliard, for the stereotypes, is that Harley guys are all either just white racist boomers or rat rod skater boys. Interesting. I have not really heard that stereotype.
Not all Harleys.
Yeah, but I definitely, not to get too political and other weird shit on this podcast, but there definitely is a bit of like a Venn diagram of shitty Harley people, like Trumpy, kind of, you know, that whole thing with the Harley guys. Go to Sturgis, you know. Yeah. It definitely exists. It's definitely not all Harley people, though. For sure not. For sure not.
Yeah, no, I like to think of myself as the good Harley guy.
Yes.
But no.
Do you consider yourself a Harley guy? Would you say so?
I would happily buy a Sportster if I had the cash, 100%. I would ride it without irony.
Nice.
It's too small for me.
Yeah.
but I love it.
Yeah.
You know, I just genuinely do like the bikes that the motor company makes. They're bad, but I like them in spite of themselves.
They're getting better.
They are
Pan
getting
Am's
better.
pretty good. It's a pretty good bike.
Pan Am's pretty good.
Yeah. And then the Rat Rod Skater Boys, I think it's just Club Dyna people that have put that out there.
Club Dyna people, man alive, does everybody on a Harley who doesn't want to be this want to be that? Though.
Yes.
That I have seen.
Yeah.
So, next up we got X2.
X2 says, not all Energica owners suck. It's only Magic Toaster. So that's an inside joke for our Discord server. Magic Toaster is a very, very vocal Energica owner, and he really believes it's the greatest motorcycle. But I have to ask if he's ever ridden a real bike.
Like
or if he's only
anything
ever
else.
Anything else. You'll have a good time, Magic Toaster.
Yep. Lorcus Porcus is next.
Lorcus Pocus says, there are two types of riders, those who have crashed and those who are going to. I don't think it's wrong necessarily, but I think wrecking is generalized as a terrible life-ending thing when really it is up to being an attentive rider. Okay, interesting. So the stereotype is that there's two types of riders, those who crash and those who are going to. Where do you fall on that?
I mean, technically it's true. I do believe that everybody's going to crash. But I don't believe that everybody's going to crash so hard that they are going to hurt themselves or die.
Yeah.
You know, I've dropped my KLR like a dozen times at this point.
Yeah.
I've binned the crap out of a BMW a couple of times and a Pan Am spectacularly.
You got yeeted on that GS in Utah.
Yeah.
Josh and I came up, and I just saw the tire marks in the sand. I was like, ooh, that's a nasty high side.
Yeah.
I knew as soon as I pulled up, I was like, ooh, he ate shit.
Yeah. That was a brutal one.
Yeah.
But I do think, especially the more you start dabbling in different kinds of motorcycling, you are gonna go down at some point.
The natural thing too is to kind of, I mean, it's the classic Dunning-Kruger thing, right? Like you're pushing the limits, you're pushing the envelope. You may not have the skill set to do so yet. You're gonna go down. A lot of sport bike guys, I mean, dude, LCR is just littered with plastic parts on every corner because people write checks that their tires or their skills can't cash, you know? And yeah, I think if you dabble, I mean, off-road riders is like, come on, like if you've been riding off-road for even a year and you've never crashed, you're just like poodling around your backyard. There's no way everyone crashes off-road. It's just gonna happen. But yeah, I think there are definitely riders who have made it their riding career without crashing, but I do have to question what kind of riding they've been doing, right? Have they only put down 500 miles a year, kind of little commutes here and there?
Or are they just like riding on the highway?
Yeah, just riding on the highway, just cruising and chilling.
Which is fine if that's what you want.
Yeah, nothing wrong
but
with that.
I feel like generally the reality is you're probably going to go down at some point.
Yeah. Like with me on track, I have genuinely lost track of how many times I've crashed. I don't know anymore. It's, I think, more than 8 or 9.
Damn.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see how that first suit went.
Yeah.
But I think the enlightened rider realizes that going down is not the end of the world. Like people who say this, which are non-motorcyclists, do think it's the end of the world.
Yes. Yeah. You can definitely have a life-altering, terrible motorcycle accident. It doesn't take much, right? If you are just crossing an intersection and someone blows a red light, you're going to have a really bad day.
Yes.
And it wasn't your fault. But a lot of motorcycle accidents are not that bad.
Yes.
You can usually get away with them.
Yeah. Next up, we got Gatsby NC1.
Gatsby NC1 says, not all Ducati boys take their bikes to the dealer. Maybe the rich guys on modern bikes, but any of the older stuff pre-2010 learn to wrench on their own. I just think we want a pseudo-spicy bike, but we're too poor to afford something modern, so we buy something affordable and fix them. My background, ex-car mechanic. Well, that gives you a big leg up, being an actual mechanic versus us two dinguses.
I will never, ever do a Desmodromic valve service in my entire life if everything goes to plan. Something will have gone horribly wrong if I am doing a Desmo valve service.
Yeah, you did that with your buddy's Diavel, right?
I helped him do it, and I eventually, I still have pictures of the inside of the Testa Strata, and I was just like,
nah.
I'm good.
I will say, I have heard that the old 2-valve air-cooled bikes are pretty easy to work on. And I will say, the 1098, there wasn't a whole lot to that bike. Remember, like you looked at the frame, you look compared to the V2.
Compared to the V2.
The V2 was like a rat's nest. Talk about fitting 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag, right? Like that was nuts. But the older ones are really pretty good, you know? And Gatsby actually said it's not that bad on the 2-valve Desmos.
I don't want to go into one.
I will say I own a 2-valve Desmo, and I didn't do that service. I took it to the dealership, baby. But yeah, you can save a lot of money by not taking your Ducati to the dealership, but you may incur some wrath in the garage.
Yup. Breadneck is next.
All right, Breadneck says, hello, Yam and Spite. One motorcycle stereotype that I don't believe to be true is that all motorcycles are out to get you. Everyone I know that doesn't ride tells me I'd kill myself if I got a bike whenever I'd ask if they want to ride. Motorcycles only do what you tell them to do. Truth is, most people could probably jump on a bike and not eat themselves within an hour of tutorial level parking lot stuff. Shout out to VW Mechanic Work. I drive a 2015 Jetta and I hate working on it. Germans sure know how to put a car together with a little hand. My girlfriend or fiance's Jetta is ridiculous. If she's watching this, which she doesn't, I love you. Don't worry. It's a great Jetta. Don't worry. This whole like I'd kill myself if I got a bike thing. It's really funny because I want to get people on the bike, and it's like you don't have the balls to just do that.
No.
You're going to be scared and just kind of like poodle around with it. You know, like everyone likes to think that there's some badass, like, I'm just going to rev it out and kill myself. No, you're not.
No,
you're not.
I think the only time you're going to see that is when some Harley pirate who's only ever ridden around on, big, lumpy air-cooled V-twins gets on an inline 4, and then they realize what a real bike's all about.
Yeah.
But that's really the only place you see it in my world where I'm like, maybe. Yeah. But everybody else, you are going to be too timid to do anything.
Yeah, you're way too timid. Yeah.
Next up, we've got Breezy Wonder.
Breezy Wonder says, one stereotype is that a motorcyclist always have more fun when it's extremely hot and it's a nice day out to ride. And I'm talking about when it's like 100 degrees. A motorcyclist always have more fun when it's extremely hot and it's a nice day to ride.
I guess the idea that, the sun's out. I bet you're going to go ride your motorcycle today. It's a nice warm day.
Oh, yeah. No, God, no.
No. No.
No, I honestly, at this point, I'm not afraid to admit it, I have an operating temperature window to ride my motorcycles. Mm-hmm. If it's more than 95, I'm probably not on a bike. If it's less than 50, I'm also probably not on a bike. Personally.
I will ride in the cold more than I will ride in the heat. I will suffer the cold more because I actually have cold weather gear now.
Yeah.
Because I have, from doing my long distance journeys, I have an outer layer that is a wet weather layer that's a great wind blocker.
Yeah.
So I'll put that on over a warm jacket that I've got a hoodie under, and I'm still able to move around in it.
Yeah.
But you cannot beat the heat.
Yeah.
You can't beat it.
Yeah. For me, in the type of riding I do prefer if it's hot, like for track days, for example.
Keep the tires warm.
Yeah, it fucking sucks trying to keep tires warm, and it's like 60 degrees, 55 degrees. It's basically impossible. So, yeah, but again, if the track temperature is 140 degrees, they just turn into grease balls, and you're not even getting any grip anyways. So, yeah. And then, Jesus, I've ridden like off-road trails and motocross and stuff when it's like 100 degrees.
It's death.
Fuck that. Absolutely that. No chance, dude.
Like, I haven't ridden the KLR in 2 or 3 weeks at this point. It's not too hot. It's too hot. I do need to ride it one of these days just to ride it. But another thing is it's got the big windscreen. So I'm sitting I'm sitting behind like a pocket of still air and the thumper gets real hot. Yeah. It's a pain in the butt to ride in the hot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to take my Husky out to Emma Long. I wanted to go this weekend, but I'm like, okay, I'll have to wake up at 5 in the morning, basically.
Good luck.
Like I just want to go out there to see what it'll do, but it's gonna be so hot.
Mm-hmm. Cheryl Cam 96.
Cam 96 is stereotype of the 186 mile per hour 600 boy. That one is exactly true.
100%.
That one is a fact. 600 boys always think they do 186 miles per hour,
which makes me think that Cheryl Cam 96 owns a 600.
Probably. And he's like, "That's a stereotype." And I'm like, "We know what you're doing."
Let's get real. 7-round burst.
7-round burst. If you ride on a track, you are racing or a racer. Then you have to say, dude, I'm not near fast enough, and explain track days to them. Yes, that's a big one. People think that if you're on a racetrack, you're like racing or doing that stuff. Whole different fucking ball game to actually be racing a motorcycle. You did the champ school and you learned how to ride on track and you had a lot of fun. But do you feel you're now prepared to go racing?
My folks were in town for GP. And we were sitting in the stands watching the race, and that was the week after I did the champ school.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, so you were like riding around doing that, right?"
Not that.
Not that. No. If you put one of those guys on the bike that I was riding and you put me on their bike, they would still be faster than me.
Absolutely. Yeah. I got an absolute humbling moment when I went to COTA for the first time, and I thought I was like pretty good on my Daytona. This was after I've been racing for a bit too, and I put down my times, and my times were slower than the slowest Moto3 guy.
Oh.
So some guy on a 60 horsepower like little bike was going faster around that racetrack than me on my Daytona.
Damn.
Yeah, though, like I said, some kid on a 400 will gap you. Doesn't matter what you're riding. You can be on there in R1. I don't care what you're on. So yeah, track days, racing, totally different thing.
Yeah.
I have a quick story about that too. One time, one of my fiance's friends were in town, 2 of them, and I was telling the guy like what I did and what I like to do. I was like, I like taking motorcycles on a racetrack. I did some racing and stuff, and I was telling him a little bit about GP, and he's like, oh, like would you like do GP? And I was like, what do you mean would I do GP? What the fuck? I was like, no. I was like, it's like asking someone who plays pickup basketball, like, oh, would you go play in the NBA? No, of course not. Like, you suck compared to a professional. The gap is astronomically large.
Yeah, no, like they're on a whole other level.
Yeah.
DGII is next.
DGII, stupid stereotype just because it has fairings. It's a crotch rocket. My SV is not a crotch rocket. Low side of my SV Saturday at 30 miles per hour. Well, sorry to hear about the low side. Hope you're okay. That's a big stereotype too, because people can't discern what is a half faired bike, a fully faired bike, all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. I bet you if you were to put like a FZ1 in front of someone, they'd just be like, what the hell is that thing?
Yes.
They'd be like, sport bike? What?
Do that with my Supermoto.
Yeah, they're just like, dirt bike?
It's like no.
Not at all.
Not even close.
Yeah.
It's got a like dirt bike frame, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
bike has that little baby trellis frame. It's cute. Yeah.
I'm
oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I'm digging the knife in. I'm digging the knife in. I'm sorry. I forgot.
It's supposed to be done this week. We'll f***ing see.
Yeah, we'll see. That'd be awesome if it is.
Yeah, I still have to pay $1,100 to bail it out of bike jail.
That sucks, but you'll get your bike back.
Yeah. Heathen Jesus is next.
Heathen Jesus says, what Yams just said about the quarter-life crisis to buy sport bikes is me exactly at 29. I bought a used Gixxer Thou for my first bike. What are you doing? God, in my defense, I didn't know any better, didn't have many people at all who rode in my life, and just thought I would do things differently if I could go back. But I'm also now in my second Gixxer Thou, so I do love the fast boy life. So I guess that reinforces the Gixxer Squid stereotypes. Absolutely it does. What are you doing, dude?
He's on the second Gixxer Thou.
It reminds me of that guy. I've told this story in like 3 different videos now. I think I said it on the stream. I said it on my Turbo Hayabusa vlog. But the dude that emailed us, who's
on his 4th Turbo,
on his 4th Hayabusa. He bought his Hayabusa. It had to go to the shop for 2 weeks. He said, I need a Hayabusa. Bought a second Hayabusa because he didn't want to wait. Low side of that Hayabusa. Got another 3rd Hayabusa that had a clutch problem. And then while that was down, he got himself a Turbo Hayabusa and crashed that.
Yep.
So Gixxer Squid memes and stereotypes are real,
yes,
I would say.
100%.
100% real.
Matthew DFW here.
Matthew says, motorcycles are unsafe because this person, my friend's mom's neighbor's dog's owner, got hurt/died on one, then proceeds to tell a gruesome story of the injury. Extra points if they had to lay her down and the story is used. Not all crashes are fatal and or engine injury. Totally agree. Wearing the right gear makes a difference. For some reason, normies automatically assume a 3/4 helmet counts as full gear and don't consider the rest of the gear for normal street riding. Yeah, man, I've had a lot of those people come up to me like, oh, my, tells you some horrible, gruesome story of an injury. Has that happened to you? Mm-hmm. And it's just always like, okay, as if I don't know.
Yeah.
I have a gruesome injury. Thanks,
It's just something we have to live with is that possibility. But we do the best we can to mitigate the danger.
If you wear a full face helmet, don't ride drunk, and ride in the day, you are way out and ahead of all the data points.
Yep.
That's all you got to do.
Then just cover your front brake while you're riding. That'll help a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, two-wheeled capo is next.
Two-wheeled capo, I think it'll be our last one of the night. Myth: every sport bike rider is friends with all the other sport bike riders in the back roads. I can't tell you how often I want nothing to do with the squids I meet on the street. Yeah, definitely. We made a video about this, talking about how you don't want to ride with random squids, and that's exactly the reason why. As many of you know on the Yamcast, I am a solo rider kind of guy. I don't like riding with people, and I'm sure you're that way too, other than your group. You don't want to ride with randos.
I don't like riding with randos.
Yeah.
I whenever we do group rides, is with people I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly when my buddy on his Diavel is going to bust out of the line, go into the left lane, and just go wide open throttle past the whole group.
Yeah.
I know that's going to happen because I know him through and through, and I can
Yeah.
predict when he's going to do it. But just random squids, no
chance.
Pass.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was interesting you did that Alley Cat scramble ride with Josh and Whitney.
That
and
one
was
was
a lot of like, it was kind of just low stakes fun, but people still went down, you know.
Yeah, there was so much. It was so slow. That's why I was okay with it. And it was a lot of just goofing around.
Yeah.
As long as you kept moving and you kept your head on a swivel, it was okay. But it was pure chaos.
Yeah.
Pure chaos.
Well, folks, that's going to wrap up our stereotypes for the night. We're now going to move on to the meme contest, which really tonight is going to be a comment review about my mustache that I had for a little bit. Let's get into it. All right, folks, time for the YouTube comment review. This week, I am on the chopping block because I had the audacity to appear on YouTube with a mustache.
Yeah.
God forbid I try anything fun or different. People are always apt to comment on your physical appearance, and they let me have it, man. They really let me have it.
I think I kind of wanted to just do this just for fun, but I didn't realize how much we have to adhere to our uniforms now. Like, if you showed up in a colorful shirt.
Yeah, it would be like, who is this guy? Where'd Yam go? You know, I can't see him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine if you were to just like shave down your beard a little bit more, they'd be like, why does he look so different? Yeah, people want you to look exactly the same all the time.
Yep. So we went and sicked the Discord boys on our recent videos to see, what YouTube thought of the stash.
Yes.
And I think that we'll probably try this again with some other stuff later on down the road, because this is a thing I think that is going to bear a lot of fruit. But I think it's
fun if we were to do it to where like you or I just modify our appearance in some weird way and don't say anything about it, like I did with the mustache. I was like, I just have a mustache now, and people are just like losing their minds, you know.
Like, what happens if I go to like mutton chops?
Yeah,
or something?
I'd be like, what? He's so great. You should do it, dude, just for like one video.
Just show up in mutton chops.
I would say something. I'd be like,
really?
What are those? All right, let's get into it. So Breezy Wonder provided us this comment, says, like the mustache. Bold, dude. Says the mustache makes him look like Luigi. We got a lot of those. And then, is that top lip real? It sure was, baby. And that was only 3 weeks of growth, folks. I want you to let you know that right now. That was only 3 weeks of mustache. Could have been way more gnarly.
So we've got quite a spread here. One kind of like middle of the road, and then one like, dude, shave it, and another guy like, good choice.
Yeah.
Now, next up, we've got, let's see here. Full Metal. Oh, here we go.
Full Metal Corgi. A lot of these, I'm not sure where these all came from. It says, what happened to Yam's face? Why does Yammy look like he must stay 200 meters away from schools? You remind me of John Leguizamo from Mario movie. He can't handle having a mustache of his own, so now he must find someone else's mustache to ride. Full Metal Corgi says, we memed it away. Magic Toaster says, are you riding a different mustache? So here's the thing again, where the YouTube people and the Discord people feel like they somehow have the ability to control your appearance by typing things. And I hate to break it to you, but I am an autonomous human being, and I make choices that are not directly related to YouTube. I did it for fun, and I shaved it away because I got bored with it. But if you want to believe that you memed it away, by all means, go ahead. If it makes you sleep better at night, doesn't matter to me.
We do still have just a drawer full of fake mustaches, though.
Yeah, if you guys need to see me back in the mustache, I can get another one back. Honestly, we should do that in a video, just get a fake one and put it on the whole time and say
see
nothing.
What happens.
Yeah, just have this mustache thing be recurring now.
Next up, we've got from Milliard.
All right. Says, ABS is useful. The rest is as useful as Face Caterpillar. Looking at you, Yammy. Owning my current bike for 2 years, ABS has only kicked in possibly once, saving a low-speed spill. I always love this too, when people who have owned like a bike for a year or two chime in as if they're just like, yeah, like, I freaking know all about this. I'm like, let's relax a little bit, you know, like maybe not. Yeah, so this was on the tech video saying that my face mustache was about as useful as all the tech on the bike, but we found that the tech was pretty useful on the bike.
Pretty useful, yeah. So egg on his face.
Yeah, egg on his face.
I find this drive-by interesting with the like smiley face.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Like, haha, you look stupid, but you know it's all in good, like
all
the smiley
in good fun.
face.
Yeah, it's like, I guess it is. Whatever.
Yeah. Ride Red is next.
Says Yam is bringing super strong Super Mario Brothers 70 stash game, and it's not even November. You're right. Did it before No Shave November. I might bring it back for No Shave November. You never know. You never know. Maybe I'll just go full evil mode and just do a soul patch. Just a tiny one right here.
You should do that. Go make Evil Yam a thing.
Yeah, just Evil Yam, tiny soul patch. Because that's all I can really grow is a thick mustache, soul patch. That's it. Cannot grow full beard all through here. Not even going to try. Not even going to try, folks.
I think that talk about something you should do just for like shits and giggles.
Yeah.
It's just we got to come up with the Evil Yam persona.
Yes.
But how would we need to like do what they did with Henry Cavill in that one movie where they he had the mustache for another movie and they had to CGI out his top lip.
That's funny.
So while you're growing it out, we'll have to CGI out the soul patch.
Yeah. Maybe for Derek to key it out, we'll just cover it in green and then he can just key it out somehow.
I feel like we're got a big black. There we go.
All right, this guy said, technology might help with the motorbike, but it won't help with Yammy Noob's mustache, not even the ball trimmer. I actually did use the Manscaped trimmer to trim up the rest here. I used a separate one, not the one I used for my pubes, guy. Relax. I have two at home. I'm sponsored by the people, for God's sake. You don't have two Manscaped shavers? Come on.
Is one labeled balls and the other like face?
Yeah, one's labeled balls and the other doesn't have one, so that I know which one is which. No, seriously, I keep two of them because one's for the nasty stuff and the other's for the normal stuff.
See, I actually have like a full-on Waller trimmer that I use on my face because this is some thick stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if the Manscaped could tackle that without. I don't know what it would do with that. Yeah,
might overheat.
It does say it can tackle the gnarliest pubes. You can give it a shot.
Yeah, we'll
Just make sure to label them.
Maybe that could be a thing for because we do have a Manscaped deal coming up in one of these videos.
Yeah.
Next week, we have the shop one, and it's got trimmer guards.
Yeah.
Maybe we see if it's capable of
can shave your
tackling
beard.
this.
And then we give you the chops.
That would actually be really funny.
Yeah.
Let's see. There we go. The Dr. Zero.
This is a good one. Yam slowly turned into great value iDubbbz. Yeah, that people. I've been getting that ever since I had my YouTube channel. People think me and iDubbbz look alike. We kind of look alike. You know what he looks like?
A little bit, yeah.
We kind of look alike.
Yeah.
I think he had a mustache for a little bit, and it was kind of that evil villain, little thin mustache thing going on. So I could see it.
Next up, here we go.
Did I go to Pornhub by accident? Oh no, wait, it's just Yammy. I honestly think the porn stash thing is definitely a 70s thing. I don't think modern day porn actors have mustaches.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them certainly do, but I don't think it's like a common feature.
No.
You know? It's not like you see a guy with the mustache and you're like, that guy does pornography. That's a weird thing to think.
It's all from like the guys from the like Dirty Harry movies.
Yeah.
The like extras in Dirty Harry movies that had mustaches in the bowl cut, they were all doing porn in San Francisco.
For sure.
Next up, we've got this one.
This guy said, dude, loose the stash. I thought you turned up to fix the sink. Another porno reference. Again, it's really funny. A lot of people feel they have ownership over your body, and they're like, you don't look the way that I expect you to look in your uniform. You must change the way you look.
I think I really do want to play with this idea.
It's funny, yeah.
Just one day I'll show up in like cargo shorts.
Yeah.
And just see what happens. Like I'll film a video completely normally.
It's so off
but I'll just
brand.
be wearing cargo shorts.
Yeah.
Just to see what happens.
Because to give you guys some context, I literally have like a uniform that I wear to come work. Like it's my black pants, a Yami Noob shirt, and the black hat. I literally wear it and have worn it every day that I come work for the last like 2.5 years. Yeah, to the point where I remember we were in Utah and Whitney saw me. We all had that Airbnb we got together.
Mm-hmm.
I just came out to go like eat dinner with you guys, and I was wearing like some blue shorts and some sleeping shirt, and she was like, I didn't recognize you for a sec because you weren't wearing black.
My look on screen is just how I look every day. Honestly, like this is just what I look like whenever I'm like some people have caught me at HEB when I'm just like shopping. I look exactly the same.
That's probably why they caught you.
And off.
You got to switch it a little bit so you can go incognito.
That's when I started wearing the cargo shorts.
There was one time, my fiance gives me so much shit for this. I was at Cycle Gear and I was wearing a Yami Noob shirt and a Yami Noob hat, but I had a mask on. This was during COVID stuff. And I was walking through the aisles and I look like me. You know, I look like Yami Noob, but I'm fucking wearing a Yami Noob shirt, right? And I'm picking out, I think I needed oil for the Daytona. And this guy comes around the corner. He's like, Yami Noob? And I go, no, not me. You got me mixed up with some other guy. And he's like, no, you're Yami Noob. And I was like, no, it's not me. And Lauren was just, and my fiance was just like, how stupid do you have to be like, you're not who you look like you? You know what I mean? Like, you thought you were going to get away with that? Because I always think I'm incognito if I'm not like in my outfit. But she's always like, you look like you know?
Mm-hmm.
Can't get away from it.
Yup. Next up, we've got...
All right, this guy says, is that Freddie Mercury? Man, I would only hope to be... That guy had a stash.
That guy had a stash.
He had a stash.
He also had quite the proboscis.
Yes, he did. Yeah, I could only hope to have that much charisma.
Next up, we've got this one.
It says, are we witnessing the birth of Mario Noob?
More Mario.
Mario win it. And the best part about these comments is how clever people think they are, too.
Mm-hmm.
You know? They make a Mario comparison. They type it up. They're like, this is hilarious. Send. That's the funniest everyone has ever read. You know, it's like, come on, man. A Mario comparison? Come on.
Yeah, no, I mean...
He could have said Stalin, you know? Like, he could have taken it there. He could have made it funny and weird. But Mario, that's some entry-level shit.
Honestly, because I looked and found some of these comments because we were running a little thin on the ground for this. It all fell into the same categories.
Yes.
You know, it was like Mario or porn or just like...
Or both.
Or both.
You know?
Or it was like, yeah, stash, thumbs up.
Yeah.
Because it was really... It was segmented the audience.
Yes, it did.
So perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Along certain lines. I feel like if we took the polls and then we analyzed the comments, it would...
We got to do one for you. I think one day you should just put your hair in a top bun. I don't like what do people think of that, you know? Like,
oh man, I will be eviscerated.
They hate when you do the man bun.
Yeah.
And I'm like, have you seen this guy's hair? He's got to do something to manage it, man. Like, what is he supposed to do?
Yeah, no, I literally will do it when I'm working on a bike because otherwise it gets in my face.
Yeah.
If I run it down.
Spite is a utilitarian kind of guy. He only does things that increase function or utility.
More or less. Otherwise, I would have, I don't know, shaped all of this.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got...
It says, Yami looks like he would write the hell out of a ticket. Got a lot of those, too, that I look like a cop. Actually, one of my buddies at the track, I was up at the track with my mustache, and he was like, you look like a fucking cop. And I'm like, well, that's not great, but thanks.
There was definitely some, who was the guy from Reno 911?
Oh, I forgot his name.
shorts.
I know exactly who you're talking about, though. Yeah, there's definitely some of that energy, though. Yeah.
I will say, the first day I saw you in the mustache, and we were out, I fought so hard to not say over the cardo, talk to me, Goose. The whole time.
So that's something that really pissed me off is I haven't even seen Top Gun. And everyone's like, you got the mustache because of the movie, right? And I was like, no, it's just a weird coincidence. And I remember Josh was like, come on, as if you didn't get it because of the movie. I'm like, I haven't seen it. It just was weird timing. But yeah, everyone's apparently getting mustaches now because of the movie.
I mean, yeah.
I get it.
Everybody got GPZ 900s because of the first one.
Absolutely.
It's cheaper to grow a mustache now.
The economy's in shambles.
Next up, we've got probably the last one here.
All right. It says, at what point are we going to have an intervention on the mustache? Come on, my guy. For a Manscaped spokesperson thinking about a grainy 70s porn or a Guy Fawkes lookalike is not where you want to be. Wow. Vitriolic. He's sad because he can't grow one.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what I've seen, man. A lot of these guys are mad about mustache. Like, you just can't grow one.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't grow one.
Same deal with like the like patchy beard.
That's a bad look. Again, that's why I'm never gonna grow a beard, because I know I can't grow a good full one. So why even try? It's not gonna happen. So it's just genetics. It is what it is.
Oh well. That has been YouTube reacting to the stash.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I feel like we got to do one for you now. We got to do something and say nothing, like apropos of nothing, some new look for you. Do it for like 2 weeks, like I did with the mustache, and then just never say anything about it again. It's really funny.
Yeah, no, we got to figure out what it could be.
I think a top bun. That's just like
just
something
a random
silly
top bun.
Yeah, just a. Because we could, if you want to shave down, we could get you some chops.
I can't wear chops for 2 weeks.
Why not? Your hair grows back.
It does grow back, but I can't in good faith run the Wolverine look.
What facial hair would you because you said you wanted to trim down anyways. What would you want to do?
Well, I normally what I do is I just trim the whole thing down
What
to
if we
like a
what if we
1.
sculpt it into something? Could we sculpt it into?
I have to give it some thought. Maybe I can just like trim the chin and have one of those old school things going on.
Yeah, just
this is trimmed down.
Think of some peculiar facial hair you could have for a little bit that you wouldn't hate, and then it'll just grow back and we never mention it again.
Yeah, I'll give that some thought.
Yes, because then the comments on those would be hilarious. And I like the cargo shorts idea too. Just shorts one day.
Just random cargo shorts.
They'll be like, is he about to be a Busa boy? What's he doing? This guy on stream said a chin strap. Those real, like, I beat up my girlfriend once. Just all around here. Oh, that would be so grody. That'd be so grody.
I could probably figure out a goatee.
A goatee could be good. Yeah. A goatee could be funny. Well, folks, that's going to wrap up the Yamcast. Thanks so much for checking out the show. If you've made it this far, you need to join over on amnew.co. I tell you guys that every week. It's a great time. $5 a month gets you access to Discord, the exclusive content, all the good stuff. I'm now doing a 30-minute live stream as well every Monday to hang out with the boys. It's a ton of fun. Go over there and join. Access to all of our content, giveaway bikes, all the good stuff. We'll catch you in the next one. See you later.